What would happen if a machete and a Viking axe got together and had a baby, and then that baby grew up to be a tactical mall ninja? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Welcome back to Factory 85 Labs, and Happy New Year's. I guess if you're watching this, that means you made it to 2021. I was going to make a video about how terrible 2020 was and how 2021 would be better, but that was all going to be a lie. I was going to make a video about New Year's resolutions and how most of the New Year's resolutions that people make just ultimately end up in failure and disappointment, but that seemed a little too gloomy. So instead, I decided to make a video about this. So this is the Boker Tomahawk. And if 2020 was an axe, this is the kind of axe that 2020 would be. It starts off okay, and you're thinking, this is pretty good. That's cool looking. Everything's fine. But then the further it goes, and the longer it drags on, you just start to realize, oh no, this was a mistake. This is not a new thing. I bought this probably 6 or 7 years ago. Back then, I had more income than I had bills. I was single, and I was a sucker for all sorts of tactical, multi-purpose, survival, tactical type things. And so I paid a lot of money for this, at least a lot more than I ever should have. So let's take a look at this thing. I wanted to start by just reading from the Boker website, because you can still buy these from Boker or from Amazon. From the website, just some description about the tomahawk. I'm just going to hit some key points. This is a tactical tomahawk. It's used for more than a hatchet, although its wide, sharp edge makes it very effective as a hatchet. The upper end of the axe is sharpened for use as a chisel and is excellent for levering open boxes. It is wonderfully suited for use as a shovel. The knife-like edge can be used to cut or skin and dismember a deer. It can be used for a variety of fine cutting work as well. It can be used as a hook for a variety of applications. The point of impact on the back may provide valuable service as a glass breaker. The Kydex Sheath allows you to keep the edge covered for many cutting and working purposes. It has recessed G10 scales which leave the tang accessible to be used as a tool. The grip on the axe head makes the steel end useful as an impact tool. This is a high-class tactical tool with a plethora of options. Okay, so that is some of the highlights from the description of this tool on the Boker website. Is Boker right? Am I saying Boker? Is it Boker? I think it's Boker. I'm just going to say Boker. Now, all of those things sound pretty cool, so let's do a little review. I used this a little bit when I first bought it, and I have not used it for at least 6 years, but I pulled it out and I used it again and thoroughly tested all of these things just for you guys. Does it work as a hatchet for chopping? Kind of. The weight in this thing is all back here in the handle. So when you're chopping, there's not a lot of weight out here to really chop through stuff. So it's really more like you're swinging a machete at something. And this blade is very thin, so really a lot more machete, or maybe like a heavy machete kukri type chopper. That's what this feels like when you're chopping. The chisel end here. So can you use that as a chisel or a scraper? Yes. As a pry bar? Kind of. The big problem with that little chisel end is that it is offset from the handle. So the handle's here, it's over here, which means anytime you're using that as a pry bar or as a chisel, you're prying here and leverage is over here. So it just sort of twists, and it's not very effective. You could probably pop open some loot crates or something in the zombie apocalypse, but not really that great as a pry bar. you just should use an actual crowbar if you need to pry something open. You can kind of chip at things though if you need that little flat edge there. Does work for that. Is it wonderful as a shovel? It does dig a hole, and I must say that this will dig a hole better than any other axe that I have tried to dig a hole with. I've never tried to dig a hole with an axe before, but yeah, the flat shape of this and that little edge, you can dig with this. So sure, it's useful as a digging tool, I guess, in an emergency. I didn't have a deer laying around to dismember, but I did slice an apple up with it. You can get a grip right up here behind the blade, so you can use that edge for some little shaving type motions or some chopping things. You got that round blade. If you got a good edge on there, you could do some little fine cutting with it. I'm not sure how well it would work for skinning and dismembering deer, but yeah, I guess if you got a good edge on it, you could probably do that. Using it as a hook, yeah, it will hook onto things. I don't know what you would use this as a hook for. Why? So this point on the back, you could use as a glass breaker, and I'm sure it would work well for that. I smashed up some bricks with it, so if you need a point, there's one there. Great for hitting things and breaking things, but not a lot of use other than that. Next thing down here, the Kydex Sheath. The sheath just goes over the edge on the top, rotates down. I put this cord on here, and that just was to make it easier to get the sheath on and off, so you can pull up on the bottom and then pull down on the front. Snaps on and off pretty easy. So I added that. So the description says the Kydex sheath will cover the blade so that you can still use this for working and cutting applications. I don't know what you're supposed to cut when this is covered. So the handle, it's got recessed G10 scales, which basically the scales are just a tiny bit smaller than the tang of the handle, so that the metal of the handle is exposed all the way around. You can use any point of this handle to hit something or smash something up. You're not hitting the scales directly and breaking things. So the handle on this thing is very narrow and very wide this way. And then that exposed tang sticks out, and it is extremely uncomfortable to hold. The handle on this is almost like somebody was trying to design the most uncomfortable handle possible. It's really uncomfortable to hold, and when you hit things, you've got that metal going into your hand, and it's too flat, so it kind of wants to twist around in your hand. Absolutely the worst possible handle. These G10 scales come all the way up here to the top. When you are splitting wood, this blade's so thin that things that you're chopping or splitting just end up hitting these handle scales. That's what this tape is doing up here. According to the description, you can use the end as an impact tool, but it's not wide enough to use as a hammer. Sum it up, Boker describes this as a high-class tactical tool. It's just sort of one of these type of tools that is okay at doing a lot of things, but not really good at doing anything. And you'd be better off just carrying a small axe and a knife, and you would be able to do all of the things that this can do and do them a lot better. I don't know what else to say about this thing. It's something. Maybe there's some people out there who absolutely love this thing. If you are one of those folks who has a tomahawk and you love it, let me know. Let me know why I am wrong for hating it. You also would like to get your hands on one, although they are painful once you do get your hands on it. You can find them on Amazon or on Boker. You know, go check it out. Maybe you have hands that are just the right shape for that handle. You know, could be the tool made for you. Thanks for watching this. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that little like button for me so that I know you enjoyed it. If you want to see other videos that I make, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I hope that you had a wonderful New Year's and you have a wonderful 2021 coming up. I will see you next week.